are entrepreneurs? You have your own business, you made your first dollar, perfect. Who here are freelancers? Okay, couple. Okay, so more suppers. And who here are still working remotely just for your company? Got it, perfect. So I can customize a little bit. So happy to be here, guys. So what I'm going to walk you guys through today is something that less than 1% basically of people really understand, especially when it comes to running and growing a business. So I've kind of bamboozled you guys. You guys think you're coming here to talk about AI. I'm actually going to give you a little MBA lesson. So first of all, I'm Le-An. I'm an introvert. I will hide after this. If you guys say hi, I'm reading my Kindle. I will just keep walking away. So after this, I'm like not functioning anymore. But I am excited because I've actually been working remotely since I was 15 years old. That's 15-year-old Le-An right there. I started a blog. Had other bloggers ask me to write for their blog. Figured out how to publish my own book when I was 18 years old. And I was even featured on a local magazine, one of my favorite magazines in the Philippines, on how to be a video editor. So I took any and all gigs I could get to be learning essentially how to create content. So it is my jam. I'm an absolute nerd on it. And right now, I'm help run 5 remote companies in Cebu. So we have a book publishing company, we have a software development agency, we have my company, which is 2XU, which is the virtual assistant outsourcing agency. We also now have an AI cold outreach agency and the AI operations agency. So we've kind of grown and built, and these are some of my amazing people. This has grown since then. We haven't had a meetup in a while, but these are parts of the people that I love and I take care. And the reason why I'm here because I want to help them grow our business so I can pay them more and the cycle continues basically. So I've also been a content creator in the last 4 years now on how to work online, how to grow a business online. And I became an AI consultant basically about 3 months ago as well because I nerd out about AI. And I've basically spoken all over the world about what I love, which is growing remotely, growing other people remotely as well. So if you guys noticed, I did the pitch for the unconference on there so I can count Bulgaria as my fourth, well, technically fifth country that I've spoken at. So I'm super excited to walk you guys through. Now, when I started becoming an entrepreneur, I got given the usual entrepreneur evolution of you get an idea, you get your first client, you get your first dollar from it, and then you get your first virtual assistant or an assistant for yourself, you build a team, then you have systems, and then you get to say that, hey, I'm successful, I've gotten to this point. But in reality, it looks like this, right? For entrepreneurs here, it's like an up and down. You get 10 clients in a day and you lose 9 clients the next week. Or it's like, oh my God, I got 10 employees and now all of them had been stolen by a competitor, right? So that's kind of the reality of it. So for me, in the last couple of months, since AI came out, I've actually started creating content on how to use AI way back in December 2022 because I wanted to take people by the hand and teach them how to do it. And since then, I've kind of come up with the new entrepreneur evolution, where in the old ways, it's kind of cracked, it's kind of tiring. Your Fitbit or your Apple Watch will kind of count it as steps going up, but I want it to be a more smoother transition going up to where it is that you want to go. So what it looks like is this. It's a little bit of a shorter path. So you have an idea of like, oh, I want to start this business. And then you go ahead and get your first client, your first dollar of like, oh, someone wants this business. Then you hire a virtual assistant and then you use AI to grow and scale further before you even get to the team, the systems part, everything else. Basically, AI will help you become basically the scale you part of what I'm talking about, of how you scale yourself with AI. So what a virtual assistant is, an AI assistant. So by the way, because I've talked to different people, who here has heard the term virtual assistant? Okay, so a lot of people. Just the people I talked to just didn't know what a virtual assistant was. About an AI assistant. Who is here heard of AI assistants? Okay, so I'll talk about the differences between the two. So first one is virtual assistant. They work remotely. They offer a variety of services and skills. They could be more of your admin virtual assistant, social media assistant, project management assistant, and they can be a generalist or a specialist. So for example, and I'll talk about her a lot, my assistant Honey is very much a generalist. She helps take care of me, the admin part of the business, and she also posts content for me on my social media. So she's kind of my everywhere at once. However, we do have a social media VA in my company. We have someone who does the video editing. So it's a lot of different types depending on what you need. And they can also make decisions, which is honestly, this is still the main thing that differentiates a virtual assistant and AI assistant is they can make decisions and can become your second brain. That's the biggest part is a virtual assistant can start getting the context of who you are and what you do and start becoming that second person for you in your business. Now, for an AI assistant, they're more generative AI based. They're just generated from a bunch of data basically that you either input or was already there. And they can automate tasks. And a lot of the other amazing AI speakers here, and after me as well, have talked about automating tasks using AI. And and of course, they're great at processing large amounts of data. If I gave my assistant my whole book and like of my life to read, it'll take her a couple of days. When it comes to AI, it'll maybe a couple minutes, maybe an hour to just read everything I've ever wrote in the last 5 years, basically. So that's essentially the biggest one. They can brainstorm a lot. They'll never really run out of ideas. It might repeat, but it'll never run out of it and can create a lot of assets, which is how I've been using AI in the last couple of years is I've used it to create a lot of assets in my business. So let's scale you with an assistant and AI. And I love this GIF because it shows you exactly what I'm going to walk you guys through today. So when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant versus creating an AI assistant, first, you got to clear on task. Two, you got to document the tasks. And three, you have to hire the right VA. Now, surprisingly, when you're creating an AI assistant, you got to get clear on task. You have to document the tasks, and then you have to make the right prompt. So, what I'm going to walk you through today is essentially how to do each one of these, both sides on the VA side, if that's where you're going, and how to do it with an AI assistant. So, to start off, this is essentially what we'll be filling out, where when you're looking for the right tasks, you want to do 80-20 tasks, and I'll talk about that, of course. Create bulletproof systems, and then hiring basic and having your loyal second brain assistant. So first of all, I want to introduce you guys to a friend of mine. She was actually one of my very first clients when we were talking about, okay, we'll create a VA agency. This is Scarlett Avery. She's a best-selling author. Her book's a little bit spicy, so I don't really recommend for you guys to look her up, but she's a really good example for what it is I'm going to walk you through today. So when I first started talking to Scarlett, she had a never-ending to-do list. Who here feels that they have a never-ending to-do list? Like it just keeps going on and on. There you go. So that was where she was at when we first started talking. So I was like, okay, Scarlett, we need to find your 80-20 tasks. So that is basically the scale you formula part one is we have to find out what are the things that you need to delegate and the things that you don't have to delegate. Because I've seen so many people try out virtual assistants and the first thing they delegate is sales. Never delegate the first, your sales is the first thing. So we want to delegate the following things. So I've made this really cool quadrant. And by the way, I will give you guys the copy of these slides later on. But essentially, you want to look at the tasks that you've done in the last week, in the last month, in the last maybe even year, if you can go back that far. And you want to look at how you feel about the task, like how specialized are you on this? Like, are you really good at it? Are you happy when you do it? And then the tasks that make you money. So on the tasks that you're the specialist of, and then make you money, that is your zone of genius. That's basically where you are. So the next one is if you're not the specialist at it, you're not really good at it, and you know it needs to get done in your business and makes you money. That's where your virtual assistant comes in. That's what I call essentially kind of your 2x opportunity, where these are the first couple of things you can give to a virtual assistant. Now, third one, if it's a really good task, but it doesn't really make you a lot of money, you have to systematize and delegate it to someone else. And then fourth is if it's something that doesn't really make you money and you're not really good at it, you probably should just assess and delete it to make it off of your work list. So has anyone here heard of the Pareto principle? Perfect, love it. Everyone here is very smart. Okay, so the Pareto principle is basically, 20% of the things that you're spending on creates 80% of your results, but you still have to do the rest of the 80 to get the full 100. So basically, in health, 80% of your eating and 20% of your exercising. But that exercising helps a lot, but you still have to eat very well, basically. Happiness, purpose, fun, improving, persistence, and ideas, prioritize the 80% and the rest will fall into place. But when you're hiring, you're trying to look for what is your 20% with a virtual assistant, you want to start looking at out of the 10 things you're doing, and I usually do this as an example, what are the 2 things that only you can do? And what are the things that you can delegate or automate and give to someone else? So for example, for me, as when I create my YouTube videos, there's the researching the topic, there's SEO research, there's writing up the actual script, there's filming, there's editing, there's a making into YouTube shorts or TikTok videos, the repurposing, publishing, everything else, right? I really have to only do one. I just have to film. I just have to be the face basically on my YouTube video. I give it to my virtual assistant and it gets published even without me knowing it. Like today, I usually have a Thursday video that came out. It's already out. I didn't even know what it was. I guess I filmed a month ahead. But that's essentially what it looks like for you. So start thinking of what are the things that I'm doing every day, every week, every month, quarterly, or yearly, that it doesn't have to be me, that I can start delegating to someone else. Now, to take out a lot of the guesswork, I do have a list of 200 plus tasks that you can delegate to a virtual assistant. Now, this is the cool thing. Right now, it's 4 p.m. in the Philippines. My assistant is still online. So if you go ahead and find me on LinkedIn and just chat her, give me 200 plus tasks, she'll send you the link to this whole PDF right here. You can even say, hi, honey, this is so-and-so. Le-An said to just chat you to, I want the PDF, and she'll send it to you right away. She's not an automation. You can ask her trick questions. She's not an AI assistant. But that's essentially the power of having a virtual assistant as well, is I can be here, but you guys can still talk to me even online, and I'm not the one responding. That's kind of the magic of it. In the last 3 weeks that I've been in Europe, I think I've only worked 20 hours in the last 3 weeks because my assistant and my amazing virtual team have just taken care of the clients of our assistants and everything else in between. So that's kind of the power of once you start with an assistant and you start growing, that's going to be the multiplier effect of that. So we just talked about the 80-20 tasks. So you guys now know, hey, that's the first part of it, but there's still the rest of the other 2. Now, let's spell it. What I talked to her about is which have like, okay, now I know what to delegate to my assistant, I now know what to do, but things keep falling through the cracks. She's making social media posts that's weird, I don't understand it. So this is essentially where the system is broken. So as I talked to her, okay, we have to then create your bulletproof systems. And I always make this joke all the time of your bulletproof systems is basically there. So in case your virtual assistant gets eaten by sharks, keep running. So that's essentially what we talked about, which is a part 2 of the studio formula. It's first documenting, implementing, and then going and update. And what that looks like on a bigger view is when you're documenting, this is when you are writing down the tasks so you are aware of what you need to create standard operating procedures on for documentation or assets. You then want to write down how you do it or even record yourself doing it. And I know a lot of people have talked to, they use Zoom, they use Vidyard, or they are on a Zoom call basically with a team that's recorded. So then you can go ahead and implement it and test the document and having someone else do the task. Now, the ultimate test is if you have an 18-year-old intern come into your business and they're able to follow that document to the end and they're able to say, oh, yeah, I did the same thing that you did, then you know that that document works because you don't want it to be where you wrote, step 1 to 8 and you actually missed 6.5 because you do it really quickly. That's why it's really important that you do slow down, that you do start documenting. So other people in the business, you're not anymore the bottleneck, they can also do what you're doing. The last part is just updating, which is just checking the document every quarter and then updating with shortcuts and tools. Because the UI might have changed for the app that you're using. You might have found that, hey, we're actually not using this tool anymore. This is a cooler AI tool that we're using right now. So you need to do, like for us, we check it every quarter instead of for business, just because it makes it easier for us to delete as well processes that aren't relevant anymore. So then it will start to look like this, basically, where you have gears, and it's not anymore that the people are the gears. It's not the people anymore running it. It's the system working with the people to keep everything else running in between. So that is essentially the second part of the scale U formula is now we have the 80-20 tasks and the bulletproof systems. And when you have those 2 and you don't have the last one, you only really have unrealized profit potential because you're still doing everything on your own by yourself. So that was the same case with Scarlett. Is she kept doing it, she had tasks, she had systems, but people kept quitting on her. And it was like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is not what I think I want to do. People quit leaving me, people were quitting, so I thought, okay, calm down. Then walking through the third part of the skill U formula, which is basically building loyalty with your virtual assistant. Now, who here has hired a virtual assistant out of curiosity? Okay, amazing. And who here has sadly not ended things well with them? Okay, thank you for your honesty. So that's a common thing. You start training employees, not just a virtual assistant, is sometimes it just doesn't work out. So the main thing is to put in intentionally that you want to build loyalty with your virtual assistant. What it looks like, the first part is just check on them. Literally just have regular meetings with them to see where they're at. Like for me, I have usually if I'm not on stage, I have my daily syncs with my assistant every 9 a.m. We go through what we've done, what's the focus for today, what she needs from me. And then every week you have a weekly check-in to see where all the projects are at, and the monthly is a retrospective of what we did last month and are doing within the next month. And that's on the clock. Like if like today, because I'm 4 p.m. right now in the Philippines, she does an async with me, so just chats me and then I chat her back on what I need from her. So that's kind of the good way that we are always in the same wavelength, no matter where I am. And the second is honestly just care about them. It's just kind of, just ask them these two questions of like, hey, how are you doing? Do you need anything? It's just kind of checking in on them, like really checking in on them to see where they're at and how they're doing. And it could be asking them, like, if you have a virtual assistant in the Philippines, asking like, hey, how's your dad? How's your mom? What's your fiesta? Can I come? Can I fly over all the way from here to the Philippines to just have a fiesta with you? So just building that relationship back and forth. Because in reality, that is how you have a secondary assistant. Is you have someone that you build this relationship with. They know your goals. They know where you're at. They know your bottlenecks, so they can support you on those bottlenecks as well. So it becomes also this magnet. Is the cool thing is with my assistant, she was referred for other virtual assistants for our clients in the business, just because loyalty kind of is a magnet for a lot of people. Then you have good people recommending other people, and I know this one person where his whole team is basically a family. Like he hired the wife first, and the wife referred the husband, and the husband referred their kid, and the kid referred their best friend's kid. So it was this whole thing, and these are really good people because basically they want to make sure that they're also doing a good job, that they're not going to embarrass the person that they just referred. So that also kind of builds out that kind of community that you have as you are building loyalty with them. So this is now essentially the completed look of what the scaling formula looks like. If you have the right tasks, systems, and loyal technical assistant, you scale you. However, if you don't have the tasks and the assistant, it's kind of a little bit chaotic profits because you don't have the systems to support it. If you have the bulletproof systems and the assistant, but you don't know what to work on, like 80-20 tasks, then you're efficient but not effective. You're not really working on the right things. And of course, again, if you have all three, that is scale you. And that essentially, right now, if you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, you have never hired a virtual assistant before, you can start looking at this of like, oh, I can put my assistant working here, we can build the system here, we can go ahead and hire their sister or their sister-in-law to be able to support other parts of the business as well. Now, with Scarlett, she came back to me. She's like, years later, she's like, Le-An, she's now overwhelmed. She's not where I was when I started. I don't know how to fix this. My system is basically like running like a headless chicken. So I was like, okay, let's calm down. Let's try to figure out how to do this. And basically, this is where creating AI assistants come in to empower assistants and employees. And this is something that I'm currently passionate about. A lot of people teach you on how to use AI yourself, how to use it for your business, but I'm passionate about helping employees understand how to use AI the right way so that it can actually empower them and use it. So for our virtual assistants at 2XU, they're all trained on it. One of the first things that they go through in the first week is my AI training. I basically made a mini course for them to understand and go through so they can do this. And essentially, AI assistants can be trained in your brand, voice, and style. And a lot of people have talked to this about, like, wrapping all of the content we made the last couple of years and then teaching Claude or ChatGPT how to use it. There's also constantly learning and improving. So if they give you the wrong output, you can just give it feedback without someone crying on the other end of the screen. That's sometimes going to be feedback to someone. And they're also available 24/7 without breaks or holidays, which is usually 2 a.m. I'm on my ChatGPT. I'm like, oh my god, I need to have this idea. So it's a little bit easier because I don't have to feel like I'm bothering someone at 2 a.m. And it's scalable to meet your growing business needs. Unlike if you were hiring a virtual assistant, like for example, actually went through this last year where we had 10 clients in a week, and I'm like, oh my god, we have to hire. So it takes some process to hire. Versus for AI assistants, for most of the time, you can go ahead and scale the AI assistants that you're creating. And they can be created by anyone as long as you are creating a system to win. So, examples of AI assistants, and I'll go through them hopefully relatively quickly. There's social media copywriter, email marketer, customer service assistant, HR manager for the very uncomfortable letters they have to write to employees, content writing, event planner, SEO consultant, sales messenger, and newsletter writer. So all of these assistants we've created inside of my business because it was fun. It was an experiment. We wanted to create as many AI assistants as we could, and these are the main examples, the main ones that a lot of our other assistants have also gotten to their clients. Well, last one is the SOP and workflow specialist. So how to, hopefully I've breezed through this of how to create an AI assistant with the whole method. So the whole method is just a framework I created to make it easy for people to remember how to first prompt on ChatGPT, which is giving it who you are, what you do, who you work with, the outcome you need from ChatGPT, and just asking it, are you ready, and then how you want it done. So this is just the first prompt. And what that looks like is essentially this. So I am an AI consultant for business coaches and consultants. I need you to ask as a content specialist, be an expert. I need you to create, what I needed from it. Are you ready? And then using bullet points. And then that's essentially it. So then on the scaling formula within this AI assistant, it's freeing up your VA from doing repetitive tasks, becomes your VA's brainstorm and problem solving buddy, your VA's spelling and grammar checker, and the first draft creator for content and any documentation you need. On the bullet persistence side, map out the SOP. So you can ask ChatGPT, what SOPs do I need in my business? You can go ahead and create the templates for them, first draft of the SOPs, create the updates of it, and then on the second brain assistant side, again, empowering your VA, become a memory keeper for your VA and multiplier for your VA's output. So with the AI-powered virtual assistant for Scarlett, she was able to feature-proof her own business and double, of course, her income because she's not the only one working. There are other AI assistants with her virtual assistants supporting her in that zone. So how can you basically double your income and future-proof your business like Scarlett? It's basically what I talked about earlier of getting clear on tasks, documenting your systems, and hiring the right assistant, and then making the right prompts. And this is essentially the feature that I see. I know it's wild and crazy and like, oh my God, but you have to think of it in that way. Like if you're hiring employees, they have to be trained up into the AI. Don't make it a requirement that they know how to use AI. No one really knows how to use it yet, but it has to be one of the things that you have to think about when you're hiring and working with your employees. And I did a pretty quick scorecard on what kind of virtual assistant you need, or AI assistant or virtual assistant you need if you're still trying to decide do I need a VA or need an AI assistant. It does have one opt-in. The earlier one, if you just connected on my LinkedIn, that one my assistant will just send it to you. And that's basically it.